I recently read Blood of the Sinner by Deathly Rose, and this was her debut novella, and she did such an incredible job. In the story, we follow Arya, and she had a very strict Catholic upbringing. Like, her parents were like those traditional Catholic parents that were very tough, and it should not have come to a surprise to them that when they sent her to public school, that she was going to be naturally curious and going to explore things outside of the church, including music. Although she's just like any other kid and just experimenting with different things, her parents and one of the people from the church took that as a sign of rebellion. So at this point, Arya is 11 years old, and her parents decided to go on a trip, and they left her in the care of this pastor and his wife, aka the Lancasters. And they had a 17-year-old son named Eddie, and he took advantage of the fact that although Arya is a little bit rebellious, that she was still very fearful of God's wrath, and he snuck into her room and said that he was like a vessel of God, and through him he could cleanse her, and he then brutally SA'd her. Arya, being an innocent child, thought that she could go to his parents and her parents to tell them about this experience, and not one of them believed her. And in fact, they took this as another act of rebellion, and the Lancasters convinced her parents to send her to a Catholic boarding school, which only furthered her trauma. And as she's sent to this boarding school, her experience there is just as bad because the adults there do not care for these kids. In fact, it is a very bleak and dreary experience where these kids are often isolated for doing any sort of rebellious act, and she's just not having any sort of good time. There is no silver lining until she meets Piper. Piper went through a very similar experience, and together they formulate a plan to escape this god-awful place. And things take a turn when the head of the school, or the pastor, has a replacement, and Arya's past comes back to haunt her. And man, oh man, this story is so incredible. Deathly Rose did an incredible job. This is a 5-star read for me. If you're looking for a story with so much depth and emotion where you could literally feel the pain and the suffering and the rage coming off of these pages, then I highly recommend that you put this on your TBR. And I do recommend that you check the triggers because this is bloody, this is gory, and also there's a lot of religious trauma, SA, and other triggers that you might check in on before you read, but I highly recommend that you put this on your TBR. If you've read it, I would love to know your thoughts, and as always, happy reading.